Look, if you spent your morning tweaking your vocal equalizer or hunting down the perfect backend track for your new B2B ad, you are actually shooting your own campaign in the foot. I mean, I totally get it. You are a founder or a media buyer who's bouncing between Premiere and After Effects or tweaking Fairlight in DaVinci to make sure that sound design just punches hard. But let me tell you an uncomfortable truth. Your best prospects aren't even listening. Think about their actual day-to-day life. They are secretly doom scrolling in a crowded office, hiding their phone off camera during a Zoom meeting, or sitting in a waiting room without headphones. I mean, if your main hook relies on them hearing you and their volume is on absolute zero, the ad is basically invisible. You are paying Meta to show people an offer they can't even understand. And that's exactly why we need to reimagine the whole traditional playbook and build a mute-first architecture. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to restructure your visual pacing and use typography to grab those high-ticket buyers in absolute silence. So, since we know we can't rely on sound to stop the scroll, let's dive right into step 1. For a little bit of context, I'm Peter Fissabolcs and I run Ads and Leads. Now, step 1 is all about dominating the first 3 seconds. And the massive benefit here is that if you can look in their eyes before they even realize that the video is muted, you instantly bought yourself enough time to deliver your actual offer. But there is a very specific visual trigger that forces the human brain to pause the thumb. And if you miss this, nothing else in the ad matters. Now you see, the problem is the default B2B ad usually starts with a completely static shot. Maybe a founder sitting at a desk and taking a deep breath, waiting to start talking. Think about how this looks on mute. It just looks like a frozen screen. The prospects scroll past it immediately and you just burned another $1. Now, to fix this, you have to physically replace the punch of an audio hook with visual momentum. You need a high contrast visual shift, a hard cut, a dynamic zoom, or a dominant color appearing or changing on the screen. And this needs to happen every 0.8 to 1.2 seconds for the first 3 seconds of the video. You need to dictate the rhythm with their eyes rather than their ears. Now, when you aggressively change the visual frame before their brain can fully process the first shot, it creates a subconscious pattern interrupt. They stop scrolling simply because the eyes demand to know what happens next. And with that, you successfully hooked a high-ticket buyer in absolute silence. But stopping the scroll is only half of the battle. Once you have their attention, you need to actually pitch them without saying a single word. And that brings us to step 2. And the massive benefit in step 2 is that you can forcefully inject your value proposition straight into your prospect's internal monologue. This will do the heavy lifting instead of the usual voiceover. But to pull this off, you have to completely avoid a trap that 99% of the media buyers fall into when they try to add text to their ads. The problem is most people just turn on auto-generated captions and let them sit at the very bottom of the screen. Think about what happens next. Those tiny passive words blend right into Meta's cluttered UI. They get covered up by the caption box, the username and the like buttons. And it is exhausting to read. And worse, it instantly signals the brain that this is just another boring ad. And if you make a busy founder squint to understand your offer, they are gone and your return on ad spend takes a hit. Now, to fix this, your text can't just act as subtitles. It has to be the main character. You need to deploy this massive high contrast typography anchored right in the center third of the frame. Instead of a full sentence, you hit them with 1 or 2 bold words at a time. You keyframe these text notes to aggressively pop into your screen, syncing them perfectly with the visual rhythm that we just built in step 1. Now, when you use this large dynamic text in the center of the screen like this, you bypass their ears entirely, and you force their brain to read your pitch in their own internal voice. You've effectively spoken to them without making a sound. But even with a scroll-stopping visual hook and a killer typography, they still won't click your link unless you nail the final piece of the environmental puzzle. In step 3, we are going to seamlessly transition a viewer from passively watching to actively clicking without ever breaking the silence spell. But to get the click, you have to avoid the final trap that causes 80% of the muted viewers to just keep scrolling right when they should be converting. And the problem is, most traditional ads just fade into a company logo and rely on a voiceover to explain what happens next. But think about what happens when somebody is on mute. Without that verbal context, your prospect is just staring at a generic Learn More button. It becomes a blind link. Into a busy B2B founder, clicking an unknown link feels like a trap. They assume that they are about to be dropped into a messy funnel or a massive form, because they have absolutely no idea what's actually on the other side of that button. And the mental friction is just too high, so they swipe away. Now, to fix this, you don't use cheesy animated arrows or flashing click here text. That just screams desperate marketer and kills your authority. Rather than verbally telling them to click, you visually show them the exact assets they are about to get. If the next step is a framework or a document, you show a quick dynamic screen recording of that document scrolling, but keep the most important part slightly blurred. If it's a booking page, flash a high contrast shot of a calendar time slot being logged in. You need to visually match the end of the video with the exact landing page they are about to see. And when you do this, you remove all the mental friction. They aren't clicking a vague Learn More button anymore. They are clicking to unlock the document they just saw and finish the action their brain already started processing. Clicking just feels like the natural continuation of the video. And this is how you turn a passive silent viewer into an active high-ticket lead. When you stack all of these three pieces together, you aren't just fixing a broken ad anymore. You are completely hacking the daily reality of your B2B buyer. You stop caring whether they have the volume up or not, because you are commanding their attention purely through visual psychology. I mean, just imagine launching your next campaign, knowing that whether your ideal high-ticket prospect is sitting on a loud train or hiding their phone in a silent boardroom, your ad is going to effortlessly stop their scroll and drive the click. And this is exactly what we do at Ads and Leads. We don't just hand you a framework and wish you good luck. We step in and completely take over your entire Meta Ads Manager and manage this exact mute-first architecture for you, so you can predictably scale your own client base. So, instead of bleeding another dollar trying to crack the Meta's algorithm on your own with ads, let's be honest, nobody's even listening to. You can click the link in the description and book a call with my team and me. And we are going to look under the hood of your current strategy and map out exactly how to deploy this exact architecture for your specific brand. So, grab a spot on the calendar before you launch your next campaign, because it is time for you to stop paying the mute tax on your ad spend and let us turn those silent scrollers into booked meetings for you. Click the link below and let's get your ads actually doing their job.